Alright, how's everybody doing today? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're going to be talking about UFC Stock, Endeavor Group, and we're going to be basically talking about a few things. Is it a buy here today? Where I think it can be going over the next couple of years, and addressing some of the stuff that I didn't in my last video. I got a ton of comments and even questions of basically new investors not knowing much about UFC and how investing works, and specifically Endeavor Group, but they're very interested in the UFC and they're wondering all of this. I also found a few things that are very critical for the stock. So am I buying it here today? Do I think it could 5x in the future? It's very possible. So make sure you guys stay up until the end of the video to see all of that. Now, right before we jump into it, if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to hit 1,000 subscribers as soon as possible. We're almost there. And if you guys can just help me out, click that subscribe button. It's completely free. That'll be really appreciated. Now, you guys can buy this. It's ticker EDR. You guys can actually purchase this on Webull or any brokerage. But if you guys want to do that, if you live in the US and you haven't signed up for Webull already, definitely make sure to do that. I'll have a link down in my description. All you guys have to do is sign up, deposit $100, and you guys can buy UFC stock under the ticker EDR. It's an app and also just on the website as well. And yeah, basically you can just purchase it under EDR on Webull as well if you guys like to. It's basically free money, so all you guys have to do is just make an account if you live in the US. So definitely do that if you haven't already. Now, first of all, what I want to talk about is basically how much of UFC does Endeavor Group own. A lot of people haven't really a lot of people think that they completely own the UFC, but that's not the case. Definitely something to be worried about. So the company said previously that they plan to raise 511 million through the IPO, which would make it value about 10 billion, but then Endeavor would also raise 1.7 billion in a private sale to acquire 49% of the UFC that it does not currently own. So if you guys buy this stock today, you're only buying about 51% of the UFC. Like they have majority stake in the company, right? But a lot of the company's not theirs yet. There's a slight chance, there's a risk there that you're taking that they won't be able to acquire them. I personally think that there's no reason why this deal shouldn't go through, but in business there's always a chance that I've seen this time and time again where stocks think something's gonna happen but it doesn't. Usually it does go through, but just be wary that there's a small chance they might not be able to acquire the rest of the UFC. So that would probably mean the UFC would be valued at, if it's 1.7 billion for about half, it's about 3.4 billion, right, for the whole UFC. That's probably not too bad, right? It's not too bad. But yeah, Endeavor's also a lot of other things, not only that. So that's definitely something to take in consideration. Here in the last week, it's actually done pretty good. So if you guys even bought it at IPO, I had some comments saying people bought it at IPO, 28 bucks. I mean, you're still looking pretty decent. I don't know how much it is here today, but it's still at around 31, 32, depending on when you're watching this. So it's not bad. Now, obviously, Elon Musk is on the board of directors, right? So if we look at something I found, they basically talked on Elon Musk's thing on the podcast, on his basically involvement in the company. He said, Endeavor's co-founder tells the podcast that Musk's advice and perspective is invaluable. This right here kind of tells me, is he actually doing anything in this company, man? Is he because obviously he's on the board of directors, he was appointed to be, and he is, but is he actually giving them advice and how to run the business? Dude, I don't think he has enough hours in the day to do that, man. He has I think 3 or 4 other companies, if not 5 others that he's literally the CEO of. So is he really making that money advice? Is he really giving that much advice to Endeavor and the UFC? I don't really know. But basically, he later said that they reported that the CEO did help Endeavor secure new investors. So that's pretty good for the stock. But for the underlying business, is he really doing much? I mean, I kind of doubt it. We're comfortable with it being in the entertainment business. We've dealt with personalities. We have a few that we work with, so I guess we have a lot of experience in that area. So we are thrilled to have him. We know that he's like a big UFC fan. So in the future, he could definitely, I think Elon will have the best thing, like he even explained right here. It's good for their image, right? They're going to be securing new investors, so that's good for the stock. That gives some security for the stock price. But I also think in the future, especially if he has more time on his hands, I feel like he's going to be showing up in a lot of games, because you've basically, if you don't know Elon Musk, he really likes the UFC. Like, he's been in a lot of UFC events in the past. And even like celebrities I watch on YouTube and stuff, or people I watch on YouTube, they actually said they met Elon Musk at the UFC. So he's there quite a lot. So I feel like in the future he'll be a really good like a lot of people who look up to him might actually become fans in the UFC in the future. So it could be good for branding and a branding perspective there. Now, let's look at basically the value. Like I think UFC, this company, especially if they're able to acquire 100% of the UFC, I think it's going to be very interesting. Just looking at the values of sports teams, right? I have the most valuable sports teams pulled up here, right? Now, this is only a team, right? This is only specific area, geographic area of fans, right? Usually, most of the time. Obviously, there's Lakers fans all over the world, but most of the time, it's in a specific city. The UFC is pretty much worldwide, maybe mostly in America, but it's pretty much worldwide. UFC is, especially MMA is worldwide. So, let's say like a Dallas Cowboys or a New York Giants or even an LA Rams is worth 4 to 6 billion, and this is in 2020. Very likely it's worth a lot more, but just in 2020 numbers, just the team being worth 4, 5, 6, 7 billion, you can tell that a whole UFC, just looking at it in that perspective, could be worth a whole lot more, right? Because the UFC obviously owns all its, like it makes money off all the different players, just like a league would. So, yeah, that's definitely something interesting to look at there. Could UFC one day be worth 20, 30, 50 billion? I don't think that's too far-fetched to say, but the UFC doesn't even have to be worth that much. Endeavor as a whole, I'm going to be talking about exactly what Endeavor owns and how much they make from each part of their business, but Endeavor as a whole could definitely, like, it's not too far-fetched to say Endeavor as a whole could be worth 50 billion in the future. And let's say UFC is worth 30 billion, the rest of their company is worth another 20 billion, boom, that's $50 billion right there in market cap. And from here, that's what? That's about a 10x, not a 10x. This market cap's wrong, by the way, but if the market cap right now is at 10 billion, that's about a 5x from here. So it's not too far-fetched to say that this stock could 5x in the future, especially if they continue to grow and how fast MMA and UFC is growing and all that. Obviously, just McGregor alone is worth like 1 billion. He brings a lot to the table, like all those big MMA, like basically fighters out there. They could bring a lot of eyes to the table, and especially how good Dana White runs the whole UFC business. I don't think that's too far-fetched to say in the future, man. So that's that. Now let's look at what actually like Endeavor owns. So I actually looked into their, I believe this is the S1 report they posted. So one thing that was surprising, only 20% of their 2019 revenues came from the UFC. Now definitely make sure to take into account they only owned about half of the UFC. So in theory, if they get full ownership of the UFC, this would be 40% of their revenues, but this is 2019. I would imagine in 2020 it would be a little less because of all the COVID stuff, but I would say it's about the same, right? In terms of revenue, because they did do a good job with COVID, still getting the pay-per-view numbers up during COVID and stuff like that, getting like UFC Fight Island and stuff like that. They also owned, I don't know, is this PO? I don't know what this stands for, but it's basically bull riding, like the whole bull riding association. I don't think it's that big, but that's that. And then they also own EuroLeague basketball, and then 43% of their revenues came from events, experiences, and rights. So I guess all their licensing and stuff like that and events they throw. Obviously they own like Miss Universe, so I guess maybe the fans there. I don't know if events stands for, I guess event experiences would also take into account UFC, right? Because you got to sell stadiums for the UFC. So I guess UFC percentage is everywhere, but their owned properties, they made 20% off this, and in representation 37. So they're pretty like diversified. That's actually not a bad thing, right? If UFC made up 100% of this company, that would be a little bit you're taking good amount of risk there. But since UFC is not that big of a portion, they probably own maybe 50% of what it is today, especially if they get full ownership of the UFC. That's still not too bad that they're able to like they have more avenues to get more revenue and grow the business in different avenues, not strictly the UFC. And yeah, that's definitely something interesting to look at there. And then a lot of comments, dude. Look, I gotta address the profitability. I got so many comments saying the UFC is not. How is the UFC not profitable? UFC makes a lot of money, man. UFC makes a lot of money. they are not like not making money. Yes, that's true. UFC is bringing in a lot of money, obviously, right? But you gotta remember, we don't know exactly how much they're making. Like, they don't. From what I've seen, they haven't posted how much the UFC is making in their financials, but we know how much Endeavor Group's making. So they made about 3.4 billion in 2020, but half of that was the cost of revenue. So their profit was about 50%, which is pretty good. Pretty good, right? But then their operating expenses was a lot. And then by the time it went to their net income, they're losing money on the bottom line. So I'm not saying specifically UFC is losing money, but Endeavor as a whole, we can see that it's losing money, dude. It's not doing the best right now. And I think that could change in the future. Don't get me wrong, especially since everything's opening up soon. They took a pretty big loss in 2020 compared to 2019. But before COVID, look at this. Before COVID, can we go back to 2017? Perfect. So in 2017, 311 million loss. 2018, about same. But in 2019, they only lost 100 million. So if COVID didn't happen, it would be pretty safe to say that they're basically almost breaking even. And then COVID happened, and then once COVID hit, they went back to losing 350 million. But we can safely say that a lot of this, a lot of the money they lost could have been because of not only COVID, but also they bought the UFC. They bought a chunk of something else. So you got to take a look at that into consideration. But I don't think it's out of the order. Like, I wouldn't be surprised in a few years from now, even maybe 1 to 2 years from now, UFC Endeavor Group as a whole actually breaks even and makes a profit. I wouldn't be surprised at all. Their debt is obviously 6-7 billion, but their assets are pretty like not bad. They have $1 billion in cash, so it's not that bad, man. It's not that bad. Their balance sheet is pretty decent. So do I think they could potentially be a $50 billion company in the future? I think so. So there you go. That's been it. I tried to address as many comments like that I got in terms of the profitability and stuff like that. And definitely make sure, because a lot of people are looking at this and thinking, oh, this is UFC, completely 100% UFC. No, they don't completely own it yet. So we still got to wait to see if they do. Am I buying this here today? I still haven't bought any shares, but I'm taking a look very closely. Like I said in my last video, once they come out with their earnings, since I have been watching a lot of UFC lately, I do really like it, and I do think that with their next earnings, I'm gonna listen to that earnings call really closely and see what they say. I might pick this up then, so we'll see. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.